हेलो बच्चों। सीबीएसई पॉलिटिकल साइंस चैप्टर 5 पार्ट 1। चैप्टर 5 is popular struggles and movements. Overview. In the earlier chapters, we discussed why power sharing is important in a democracy and how different tiers of government and various social groups share power. In this chapter, we will carry this discussion further and see how those who exercise power are constrained by the influence and pressure exerted on them. Democracy almost invariably involves conflict of interest and viewpoints. These differences are often expressed in organized ways. Those who are in power are required to balance these conflicting demands and pressures. We begin this chapter with a discussion of how struggles around conflicting demands and pressures shape democracy. This leads to an analysis of the different ways and organizations through which ordinary citizens can play a role in democracy. In this chapter, we look at the indirect ways of influencing politics through pressure groups and movements. This leads us to in the next chapter to the direct ways of controlling political power in the form of political parties. Popular struggles in Nepal and Bolivia. Do you remember the story of the triumph of democracy in Poland? We studied it last year in the first chapter of class 9th. The story reminded us about the role played by the people in the making of democracy. Let us read two recent stories of that kind and see how power is exercised in democracy. Movement for democracy in Nepal. Nepal witnessed an extraordinary popular movement in April 2006. The movement was aimed at restoring democracy. Nepal, you might recall, was one of the third wave countries that had won democracy in 1990. Although the king formally remained the head of the state, the real power was exercised by popularly elected representatives. King Virendra, who has accepted this transition from absolute monarchy to constitutional monarchy, was killed in a mysterious massacre of the royal family in 2001. King Gyanendra, the new king of Nepal, was not prepared to accept democratic rule. He took advantage of the weakness and unpopularity of the democratically elected government. In February 2005, the king dismissed the then Prime Minister and dissolved the popularly elected parliament. The movement of April 2006 was aimed at regaining popular control over the government from the king. All the major political parties in the parliament formed a seven party alliance, SPA, and called for a 4-day strike in Kathmandu, the country's capital. This protest soon turned into an indefinite strike in which Maoist insurgents and various other organizations joined hands. People defied curfew and took to the streets. The security forces found themselves unable to take on more than a lakh people who gathered almost every day to demand restoration of democracy. The number of protesters reached between 3 to 5 lakhs on 21st April, and they served an ultimatum to the king. The leaders of the movement rejected the half hearted concessions made by the king. They stuck to their demand for restoration of parliament, power to an all party government, and a new constituent assembly. On 24th April 2004, the last day of the ultimatum, the king was forced to concede all the three demands. The SPA chose Girja Prasad Koirala as the new prime minister of the interim government. The restored parliament met and passed laws taking away most of the powers of the king. The SPA and the Maoists came to an understanding about how the new constituent assembly was going to be elected. This struggle came to be known as Nepal's second movement for democracy. The struggle of the Nepali people is a source of inspiration to democrats all over the world. Now, here we should know the who are Maoists. Those communists who believe in the ideology of Mao, the leader of the Chinese Revolution. They seek to overthrow the government through an armed revolution so as to establish the rule of the peasants and workers. They are Maoists. Bolivia's water war. The story of Poland and that of Nepal apply to the struggle for establishing or restoring democracy. But the role of popular struggles does not come to an end with the establishment of democracy. People's successful struggle against privatization of water in Bolivia reminds us that popular struggles are integral to the working of democracy. Bolivia is a poor country in Latin America. The World Bank pressurized the government to give up its control of municipal water supply. The government sold these rights for the city of Cochabamba to a multinational company. The company immediately increased the price of water by 4 times. Many people receive monthly water bill of rupees 1000 in a country where average income is around rupees 5000 a month. This led to a spontaneous popular protest. In January 2000, a new alliance of labor, human rights, and community leaders organized a successful 4-day general strike in the city. The government agreed to negotiate and the strike was called off. Yet nothing happened. The police resorted to brutal repression when the agitation was started again in February. Another strike followed in April and the government imposed martial law. But the power of the people forced the officials of the MNC to flee the city and made the government concede to all the demands of the protesters. The contract with the MNC was cancelled and water supply was restored to the municipality at old rates. This came to be known as Bolivia's water war. Democracy and popular struggles. These two stories are from very different contexts. The movement in Nepal was to establish democracy, while the struggle in Bolivia involved claims on an elected democratic government. The popular struggle in Bolivia was about one specific policy, while the struggle in Nepal was about the foundations of the country's politics. Both these struggles were successful, but their impact was at different levels. Despite these differences, both the stories share some elements which are relevant to the study of the past and future of democracies. Both these are instances of political conflict that led to popular struggles. In both cases, the struggle involved mass mobilization. Public demonstration of mass support clenched the dispute. Finally, both instances involved critical role of political organizations. If you recall the first chapter of class ninth textbook, this is how democracy has evolved all over the world. We can therefore draw a few conclusions from these examples. Democracy evolves through popular struggles. It is possible that some significant decisions may take place through consensus and may not involve any conflict at all, but that would be an exception. Defining moments of democracy usually involve conflict between those groups who have exercised power and those who aspire for a share in a power. These moments come when the country is going through transition to democracy, expansion of democracy, or deepening of democracy. Democratic conflict is resolved through mass mobilization. Sometimes it is possible that the conflict is resolved by using the existing institutions like the parliament or the judiciary. But when there is a deep dispute Very often, these institutions themselves get involved in the dispute. The resolution has to come from outside, from the people. These conflicts and mobilizations are based on new political organizations. True, there is an element of spontaneity in all such historic movements, but the spontaneous public participation becomes effective with the help of organized politics. There can be many agencies of organized politics. There can be many agencies of organized politics. These include political parties, pressure groups, and movement groups. Here is some small story from the Karnataka. In 1984, the Karnataka government set up a company called Karnataka Pulp Wood Limited. About 30,000 hectares of land was given virtually free to this company for 40 years. Much of this land was used by local farmers as grazing land for their cattle. However, the company began to plant eucalyptus trees on this land, which, which could be used for making paper pulp. In 1987, a movement called Kitiko Hachiko, meaning pluck and plant, started a non-violent protest where people plucked the eucalyptus plants and planted sapling of trees that were useful to the people. Suppose you belong to any of the following groups, what arguments would you put forward to defend your side? A local farmer, an environmental activist, a government official working in this company, or just a consumer of paper? Okay, that's it for this video. In next video, we will read mobilization and organizations, page number 63. Okay, thank you.